Hello everyone, my name is Victor. I am the Occult Technician, and this is Mind War, Season 3, Episode 3. Mind War is sponsored by Victory Work Apparel. Use promo code Mind War. Join the Mind War today. Enlist at patreon.com/Mind War. Now back to the show. Welcome back to Mind War, everyone. Thank you for being here. We have a lot to cover today, folks, so let's get started. So today we're going to read chapters 3 and 4 out of Dr. Robert Monroe's book, Journeys Out of the Body. And in the second half of today's episode, we will be working through Wave 1, Tape 3, titled Advanced Focus 10. So let's jump into the book where we left off, again on chapter 3. And this chapter is titled On the Evidence. So this chapter starts out with Dr. Monroe having a meeting. So let's read and hear what Dr. Monroe says here. It says, in the fall of 1964, an interesting meeting was held one evening in Los Angeles. It was composed of some 20 assorted psychiatrists, psychologists, scientists, etc., and myself. It was most rewarding evening. The purpose of the meeting was to examine with sincerity and seriousness the experiences and experiments which have been condensed herein. After several hours of interrogation by the group, it was my turn. I asked two simple questions of each of them. So again, Dr. Monroe sitting there with some of his friends, his colleagues, his contemporaries, to talk about the different experiences and experiments that he's been trying, because over the next two chapters, we're going to start getting deeper into the different types of experiments that Dr. Monroe was conducting on his own in the early days of this whole process. So the question he asked the group that he was with, he said, if you were going through what I've been experiencing, what would you do? It was a definite opinion of the majority, more than 2/3, that every effort should be made to continue such experimentation in the hope of enlightening and expanding man's knowledge of himself. So the majority of the folks said, yes, you have to continue experimenting for the sake of mankind, for the sake of humanity. We need to figure out what these things are, these stories that we've been hearing all throughout history. What are they? Let's get a deeper look into it. And several of them said maybe he should see a psychiatrist. The second question was, would you personally take part in experiments that would lead to the creation of such unusual activity in yourself? And now that's very different. It's one thing to say, yes, continue the experimentation as long as you're the one being experimented on. But now he's asking, would you be willing to undergo some of these experiences? Here he said the pattern changed. About half stated their willingness to participate. So now several less people were willing to continue on. But he said, oddly, in this group were some of those who were most skeptical of the reality of such experiences. Of course, this gave me an opportunity to nudge gently those who were in favor of continued experiments. When it came to the dive into the cold, strange waters, let someone else do it. And in many ways, I don't blame them. If presented to me 12 years ago, I doubt I would have volunteered also. Why would this group bother to assemble? Curiosity, perhaps? Or again, it may have been some of the evidential material that had been accumulated. I hope this were the latter. Here are some of the key concepts of the reports from the notes which aroused their interest. So again, he's going to talk now about some of the experiences he had during his early days of starting to have these out-of-body experiences. Now again, throughout Dr. Monroe's literature, throughout a lot of the videos that you see about the gateway experience, again, whether it's about the conspiracy theories surrounding them, a lot of it focuses on the out-of-body experience and astral travel. Now, of course, these are very central themes and central skills that you're going to be learning in the gateway experience tapes. But I don't want you to think that that's all that we're doing here, because it really isn't. It's almost sort of like a marketing gimmick in a way that kind of took on a life of its own, this idea of astral travel and astral projection. That is just a small piece of what we're going to learn throughout the gateway experience tapes. Remember, the way that we are going to focus on them early on here in the beginning is to heal the mind, body, and spirit. This is a personal journey for you to help you. This is a form of self-help, right? And so I don't want us to get distracted by this idea of astral travel and astral projection. But again, that's what these books are about. So we're going to cover them and we're going to learn some of the interesting, takeaways that Dr. Robert Monroe had. So in one of his early examples here, as he was falling asleep, he was starting to learn these new tools about how to actually do the astral travel. So now you can picture Dr. Robert Monroe, even before he created the Gateway Experience tapes, as he's falling asleep to take a nap or go to sleep at night, he's starting to do these experiments, and these are the notes from them. And so one of the things that's interesting is you hear him talking about counting himself into the focus 10, counting up to 10, right, from 1 to 10, and getting in these deep relaxative states. And later on, he speaks about how he learned different skills and tools in order to actually to get himself into an out-of-body state. So in this first one, he talks about Dr. Bradshaw. We heard about him in a few chapters. And he discussed how as he was falling asleep for a nap, he decided to go and try to travel and see what Dr. Bradshaw was doing. He knew that Dr. Bradshaw was sick at the time, so he expected him to be home in bed resting. But when he projected himself, did this astral travel to where Dr. Bradshaw lives, what he saw was Bradshaw and his wife walking from their home out to the garage. The wife was wearing a black jacket and he was wearing a light jacket. And so what happened is the next day, Dr. Monroe called Dr. Bradshaw and said, here's what I did. Here was the experiment that I conducted, and this is what I saw. Can you recall that time? It was in the afternoon. And so Dr. Bradshaw spoke with his wife, and he described, we were walking from our house out to our garage. My wife was about to get in the car and leave, I think for an appointment or something, right? And she was wearing a dark jacket, and I was wearing a light jacket. So these, again, were kind of like, there was no way for Dr. Monroe to actually know these things, but he was able to say, hey, this is what I saw. And they were able to verify that from him. So he goes through and does several different experiments like this. In the next one, again, he went to astral project and visit another set of friends. And he said what he saw was I think a husband and wife sitting at the table. There was food on the table. Their children were there, but it looked like they were playing cards, like they were dealing cards. But the cards were odd. They were kind of strange. They were these big white cards, and he didn't quite understand it. So again, the next day, he contacted his friend and told him about what he was doing. And he said, sure enough, Doc, we were sitting at the table having breakfast, and my wife was handing out envelopes from the mail. We had collected the mail for a few days, and there was letters that needed to be passed out to the family members, and she was handing them out. So it looked like she was dealing cards out, right? Again, these are things that no one, Dr. Monroe wouldn't have been able to know unless he was a peeping Tom looking through the window, or if he had actually astral projected and was able to somehow see these things, right? So in this next example, Dr. Monroe had talked to a medium, right? A psychic, a lady who dabbled in things probably like tarot cards and trying to tell the future, that type of stuff. The type of study, right? This type of spiritual practice that was maybe shunned by scientists and doctors. They were very skeptical about what was happening. So it was very interesting. Dr. Monroe wanted to reach out to someone in that community also, in this paranormal community, if you will, in order to get some better understanding, to see maybe where there was crossover between science and the paranormal. And so what happened, and this was very interesting, the lady and I think 4 of her friends decided to have a seance in, communication with Dr. Monroe, letting them know they coordinated this out, right? And so what the ladies did is they sat around the table. They left an empty chair for Dr. Monroe. And it was funny because as they started their seance in coordination with Dr. Monroe, he started to astral project. And as he went to take the empty seat, one of the women accidentally sat in his chair, and they all started laughing and saying, "Hey, don't sit on Bob's lap," right? That's his chair. And he remembers this. He remembers this feeling. He remembers this as they were laughing and kind of joking about this incident. He also heard them talk about a few different things, mention the word cancer. He brought that up as part of their conversation, and he was also able to, again, not guess, but he was able to describe the clothing that 2 of the ladies were wearing to a very close degree of what they were actually wearing. So in this next one, again, he was visiting another friend. He used astral projection to go and visit another friend. And he said what he saw was she was sitting at the kitchen table with 2 young ladies, and they were having a discussion. And he decided, in order to kind of have another layer of verification, something to add to verification of what he was actually seeing and doing, he decided to try to physically interact with this woman. And so what he did is he pinched her on the side, right? Just grabbed a side, pinched as hard as he could in his astral body in the second state, right? And wanted to see, is this something that she would recognize? So again, the next day he contacted her, and she said, yes, sure enough, I was sitting at the kitchen table. I believe it was with her daughter and her daughter's friends, and they were having a conversation. The woman was having an alcoholic beverage. The girls, they were having a Coca-Cola, and they were just communicating and laughing. And sure enough, she remembers feeling the pinch. And then I think this was someone that Dr. Monroe worked with, so he physically was there talking to her the next day, and she showed him there was a bruise on her side where he had pinched her, okay? Now, folks, again, this goes far beyond the basics of what we're trying to gain from the gateway experience. I'm not here trying to tell you, yeah, this is what you're going to be able to do, dude. You're going to be able to astral project, go pinch people and spy on people and all that stuff. That's not the things that I've really experienced. As we go through in later episodes and get deeper into the seasons here in the gateway experience, and I start to go through some of my notes, I'll talk to you about the experiences that I've had with astral travel and astral projection. And I personally, I haven't been able to verify, for one thing, right? I haven't communicated with any of the people that I may have interacted with through astral projection. And there was some physicality to it, but again, it's almost like a dream-like state, right? Where it's not your hand, it's not your body that is the senses of feel. Your hand isn't feeling something. It's the same way in a dream where it's more you are thinking about feeling something. And ultimately, what's the difference, right? If your brain is able to say, okay, you are feeling this with your physical hand, or if you're in a dreamlike state and you're saying, I am feeling something with my spirit hand, right? So again, these are good stories. These are things to do when you and your First Earth Battalion group of like-minded individuals that you are working through the Gateway Experience tapes with. As you communicate with them, maybe you can start to do your own experimentation, right? As we go deeper into the tapes, there are several different skill sets and several different tests, I guess, or experiments that Dr. Monroe will try to teach you and walk you through, that if you coordinate with another individual, it would be very interesting to see what the outcome would be. So that was much of chapter 3 there, titled On the Evidence. And it was really to show that he was doing this experimentation and kind of the early type of experiences that he was having. All right, folks, so in chapter 4, titled The Here Now, we're going to learn the definition of a very important idea, one that Dr. Monroe calls locale 1. So let's see what Dr. Monroe says about locale 1. One of the most common questions that arises during any discussion of the second body and the second state is, where do you go? In the evaluation of all experiments, there evolved what seemed to be 3 second state environments. The first of these was identified as locale 1, for lack of a better nomenclature. More important, or more appropriately, it could be called the here now. Okay, so first he talks about the second body. Again, that is our spirit body. That's what you're going to be using as you astral travel. That's what you're going to be using as you learn skills later on in the tapes. When you are, again, in this darkness, in the abyss, in this area that's like Stranger Things, where it's just blackness around you, you're going to see your second body. You can also think of this as any time that you've had a dream, especially a dream that's in a location that's very familiar to you. If you dreamt about your own home, or maybe the home of a family member from when you were a child or something like that, and you can see it clear as day, and you see your own body, you see your hands and your legs as you're interacting with things in this dream, that is your second body. And then the second state is, where are you with your body? Okay. So again, as we do astral travel or astral projection, right now, it's going to be in locale 1. And locale 1 is the most believable. It consists of people and places that actually do exist in the material, well-known world at the very moment of the experiment, the here and now. It is the world represented to us by our physical senses, which most of us are fairly sure do exist. Visits to locale 1 while in the second body should not contain strange beings, events, or places. Unfamiliar, perhaps, but not strange and unknown. If the latter is the case, then perception is distorted. So locale 1 is our physical world, the world that you and I live in right now, okay? So this would be, anywhere that you've already been, right? Your home, any place in the world that exists today, especially if it's a location that you know, something that you've seen before, a place you've been before, talking to people that you've met before, that you are familiar with, right? This is the here and now. This is locale 1. Any location, any location in space and time today that you can feel and experience with your senses. It's just regular life, right? It's literally, you can astral travel to your local grocery store, wherever it is, whatever it is. It's the here and now. That's locale one. This is where you'll be traveling through, right? So that's very important. We need to make sure that we understand where we are going to be in the different layers, different levels of projection. Because again, we're talking about very early on. We're still in the very early stages of this, right? So let's see. He says here, there is a better, faster way. Happily, there seem to be built-in directional senses if their use can be mastered. The if is the catch. As noted elsewhere, you think of the person at the end of your destination, never a place, but a person, and use the method prescribed. Okay. So what he's talking about here is when you do decide to go do astral travel, one of the fastest ways and one of the easiest ways is a connection between you and another person, okay? In future episodes, we're going to talk about a tape where it tells you, visit a friend. You can actually go visit a friend, someone who is alive today. You know where they are. You know what they're doing. He's going to walk us through the steps and teach us the skills to go visit them. It's very interesting. I've done it several times, and I can't wait to tell those stories to you. But he says it's more important to focus on the friend instead of where they are specifically. Now, personally, I have visited places where I was really focused more on the location itself, not on a specific person, but I knew the group of people that were going to be there, right? So it is a combination of kind of where are they, what are they doing, what time of day is it, And again, you're imagining, in a way, you're imagining what these people would be doing, and then that allows you to kind of see it happening in your mind. If you kind of are already aware of what's going to be happening. It's very different than maybe, again, some of the conspiracies that go with the tapes of traveling somewhere where you don't know what's going on in order to spy on someone you don't know in order to gain and gather intelligence, right? It's very different than what we're talking about here. So again, throughout chapter 4, he talks about different experiments that he's tried, different astral travel that he went through on these early on stages. And I thought this was really interesting on how he describes his process for getting out of the body. And he uses these terms: used peel off to get out of the body, just as if outer layer of physical were being removed, then free and floating in room. Okay. So one of the ways that I've described this feeling of leaving the body, and then more importantly, re-entering the body, is like taking off a wetsuit, right? So when you are, when you're leaving the body, to me, it almost, as you get, like we talked about in the last episode, as you get deeper and deeper into the meditative state, into that relaxed state, and Dr. Monroe walks you through, like he does in tape 2, where each piece of your body, each part of your body, he starts with your face and then he goes through the, your arms and your legs and things like that. You see them start to dissolve and disappear, right? And that's your kind of disconnect from them. But when you are ready to come back and you're ready to wake up and wake up your senses, it feels like you're sliding back into a wetsuit, right? Your spirit body is now sliding back into your physical body. It's very interesting. Again, especially if you're someone who deals with pain, sickness, and things like that. When you leave your body, you get to now think clearly, maybe for the first time. You're thinking without feeling pain. And it's very interesting when you go back into your body that first time and you start to recognize, okay, okay, I am still alive. My body is still here. It's still functioning well. You really start to appreciate the things that work well in your physical body. But then again, you will start to, go back and recognize, okay, here's my sickness. Here are the things that I have to deal with. But it is very interesting, that feeling of going back into your body. It's a warm feeling. It's exciting. It feels good. Again, one of the most important parts of these tapes is to get ourselves into a state of being that we're not used to, and that is a deep, deep, relaxed state of being. And when we do that, it allows us to think differently. It allows us to view our problems differently, look at our life differently, and it helps us find answers and find solutions, and maybe, if nothing else, it gives us just time to relax and not worry about our problems, not feel the pain, right? It gives us time just to kind of chill out. And that's what's most important. All of these other things that we've talked about, the astral travel, all that, that's good. We're going to learn those things. They're important tools. But the most important thing that I want all of you to take from this is this idea of deep relaxation and being able to get into a state of being that allows you to think clearly, strategize for your future, strategize for your present, how to really, deal with that aristos, create the best possible scenario for your current situation, right? That's what's important. And I want us to make sure that we don't lose track of what's really important in these tapes and why we do them. So, let's see. So again, Dr. Monroe does a few experiments here, and let's see. This one says, the proceeding illustrates the problem with communication. Okay. He visited another doctor, and he says the doctor was awake and aware that specific attempts to visit him were being made. So the doctor he's talking to, his name was Puarch. And this doctor knew that Dr. Monroe was going to come visit him. And he said he had no conscious recollection of any such meeting. So Dr. Monroe went and visited him, but the doctor that he visited, he was like, I don't know, man. I don't remember anything. Nothing out of the ordinary happened. But he said all other factors checked accurately except for the reported conversation. So Dr. Monroe had a conversation with this doctor. And everything that he described, where this guy was, he was sitting in his office. Dr. Monroe talked about, the bookshelves behind him and what was on his desk and things like that, and how he had a conversation with this doctor, but the doctor doesn't remember any of it, especially the conversation. So what's interesting is maybe in this second state, when you are, when you're communicating with another person that you're astral projected to visit, there may be a way, like when he visited the mediums, they were very conscious that he was there, right? They were aware that Dr. Monroe was in the room with them, where this doctor didn't. So maybe what Dr. Monroe was doing was actually having a conversation with the second state, with the second body of this other doctor. That unconscious spirit, that aura that is around us all the time, that again, as we're going through our conscious day, focused on our tasks, we're focused on what we're doing, but our subconscious, our second state, may be more aware of the peripheral. It may be experiencing things that are going on in the kind of second state, right? It may still be living there in this dream world, and when it is, when it makes contact with someone who is doing this astral projection, maybe you can almost have a subconscious conversation with them. And what he thought was interesting is at the end here, he says, the theory received a setback when a number of such communications brought out data known only to the second party. So this was interesting. He said throughout much of his experimentation, he was having these conversations with people and they don't remember the conversation, but Dr. Monroe was able to tell them, Here's what we talked about. We talked about A, B, and C. And now Dr. Monroe said, listen, I had no idea that A, B, and C was going on in your life, right? And the people he would talk to would say, that's it. That is happening in my life right now. That's going on in my life right now. So he was able to bring in data that was only known to the second party. Dr. Monroe didn't know it yet. So again, these are interesting pieces of information that if you can coordinate with someone in your 1st Earth Battalion team to maybe have some information that they want to share with you while you're doing the astral projection, something that they, of course, don't tell you prior, but when this experiment is occurring, they can say, here's the information that you're looking for. I personally haven't tried that yet, and I hope to soon. So let's see. So the last experiment here that Dr. Monroe does was actually in a doctor's office. There was a technician there who connected him with EEG, and I believe that's, where they put the little stickers all over you, and they have all the wires, and it records your brain waves, and I think like your heartbeat and all that type of stuff. And they're able to take measurements that are going on in your mind, in your brain, and throughout your body as he was having these experiments or these experiences. Now, the experiment that he's talking about where he's in this clinical setting, he said it was very difficult to get into the out-of-body state, right? Get into the second state. It was difficult. He said, you have all these wires connected to you. You're in an unfamiliar area. He said he was kind of excited to be there, so it was hard for him to fall asleep. But when he did, it was very nonchalant. He kind of just went into the next room and saw that the technician was there talking with her husband. Her husband technically wasn't supposed to be there at the time. So it was an interesting way to be able to kind of pull out the truth and be like, hey, I saw you there with another guy. And she's like, yeah, listen, I'm sorry. My husband wasn't supposed to be there, but he came to visit. So that was kind of interesting to get caught up in a situation like that where it's like, okay, yeah, the truth came out and Dr. Monroe was able to share it. Now, what was interesting from the EEG is that the doctor who went back and read all the readings, right? He went through the logs. He said that the EEG shows definite, unusual, and unique tracings during time of activity. So we are able to, through the EEG, he was able to actually see some very strange kind of brain activity occurring, things that he wouldn't normally see during these type of tests, especially a test where someone should be sleeping, right? So that gives us, a way to hopefully start to be able to calculate these things and observe them in ways other than just kind of this dreamlike state, because that is what you'll see as you listen to the tapes and you do your work and you come out and you take notes. It is like writing a dream journal. It can be kind of difficult because you're sometimes writing about kind of abstract visuals, abstract sounds, things like that. It can be like trying to describe a dream. So it's nice to know that through technology, we may actually be able to record some of this stuff. So again, that was chapters 3 and 4 from Journeys Out of the Body. And when we get back, folks, we're going to work through Wave 1, Tape 3, titled Advanced Focus 10, after a word from our sponsor. Mind War is sponsored by Victory Work Apparel. Use promo code Mind War. Welcome back, folks. Thank you for taking a moment to check out our sponsor, Victory Work Apparel, where you can find fresh gear like this California hoodie that I have here. Or you can help support the show by joining us on Patreon at patreon.com/mindwar. Over there, we have a top secret folder where I do another weekly show. The shows there are about 30 minutes, and it's just a quick way to kind of gain new skills for your life, right? Different life skills. I talk about things that I wish I knew when I was a younger man. Okay, so again, I appreciate you, taking a look at our sponsors and maybe making a purchase. It really means a lot to me. So thank you. So let's dive deep into Wave 1 Discovery, Tape 3, Advanced Focus 10. So remember, in our last tape, we learned Focus 10, that deeper state of hypnosis, allowing ourselves to actually be hypnotized, going through that countdown of 1 to 10, and now you're in this deep, relaxed state. Again, with tape 1-2, that's a tape that I would suggest that you can revisit often. Anytime that you really need to just kind of get back to the basics, I think that's a great tape. Now, Wave 1, Tape 3, this Advanced Focus 10, you can revisit it if you're having issues with getting into that deeper level of relaxation with Focus 10, if you want to practice it more. But I don't think it's something that you need to revisit too much. So let's get into what we're going to learn here in Wave 1, Tape 3. Dr. Monroe says, this is your exercise to enhance and improve your state of Focus 10 so that you can use and understand more fully your points of discovery in the Gateway experience. At this moment, you should be hearing his voice in the right ear. We understand that, right? And now you're going to get your body in a physical situation that's very comfortable. We've talked about that already. We're going to now start our preparatory process. Again, these steps that we're going to take at the beginning of every tape, right? These are very important. These are the basics. This is what we're learning in Wave 1 through this discovery, through these orientation tapes, right? So again, you're going to move to your energy conversion box. You're going to do that process. Next, you're going to begin your resonant tuning. Again, that's the part where it kind of sounds like you're in a cave surrounded by other people doing your Om, your breathing technique. That's really what he's trying to get you to do, is take a lot of deep breaths, really release that energy as you exhale, right? So again, that's your resonant resonant tuning, okay? So now we're going to learn the next step in your preparatory process. So again, your energy conversion box, your resonant tuning, and now we are going to create our energy resonant balloon, okay? So now you create your energy resonant balloon, a moving field of energy that is yours, a ball of energy all around you where you will float inside. A ball of energy that, if you so desire, you can hold your radiation in. Also, it protects you from external outside energy entering you. Your resonant energy balloon, you are now ready to create the resonant energy balloon. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, and this again, folks, this is what you've been asking for. When you've done research through religions, through Eastern philosophies, whatever it is, all of these, all the yoga and all the things that you've been studying, and you've said, I just can't experience them. What are they talking about when they talk about these things? When I see these images of people with these, energy radiating around them, how do they do it? How do they get it? I want to experience that also. That's what this resonant energy balloon is, okay? And what you can picture it as is literally a balloon around you. You're floating inside of this bubble. It is a protective bubble of clean, healthy energy that you are going to purposely, consciously construct around you. Okay? This is very important, of this conscious idea of doing this work in the second state, right? When you are out of your body, when your body's deep asleep and you're doing this in your imagination, you're doing this in your mind. It's very important to understand being able to actually do work that isn't just, physical work, or even, the work that you do might just be writing or whatever. The work that I do isn't physical. My day job, I'm working more. I'm working with computers. It's more of teaching, right? And it really isn't a physical job, but I'm awake and right, and I'm doing it in the real world. Here, we're going to be doing this work in the second state, in our astral body, right? And so again, we're going to create this balloon around us. And what's very interesting, he says that this balloon will help you keep your radiation in. I don't know if that's the correct word, but it's our energy, right? So now, once this balloon is created, and we're going to talk about how to create it, it's all around us, right? And now you can build it up and strengthen it to where it's going to stop other negative energy coming in infecting you. It truly is. It's really amazing. You're going to build this barrier around yourself that you can reflect negative energy that is awful when people are attacking you and things like that. You can build your spiritual defenses, your resonant energy defenses, but it doesn't block everything out, because you can open it up at any time to receive the love and the compassion and the understanding and the happiness from the people that you love in your life, right? And the experiences in your life that you want to enjoy. You can allow that energy and that feeling to come in and help you grow and heal and become better, right? But at the same time, this balloon, it can be a defense for you. And it's interesting because the tool that you're going to learn here, I was doing this. I unfortunately haven't been doing it as much as I should have. But when I really was deep into this, I was doing this on a daily basis. I was working outside of the home at the time. So before I would leave for work, I would go through the steps, wide awake, not listening to the tapes, but I would still go through them and rebuild my energy balloon. I would take a few minutes to meditate, take some deep breaths, see the balloon being built around me, strengthening it, right? So when I went out into the real world, I know I could deflect all that negative energy that was out there. And it really works. It feels good. It's in a lot of ways no different than someone who prays before they go, or does some other type of meditation or whatever it is. That's what this is. It's just simply steps that you can take in your life to be conscious about these type of things. So let's see. You are ready now to create your resonant energy balloon. Let the energy you have stored, let it flow out of the top of your head. Then turn it down all around you and let it flow down and re-enter through the bottom of your feet. Okay? It's very simple. You're going to take that deep breath in through your nose. As you do, as you inhale through your nose, you're going to be visualizing energy coming up through your feet. White, clean, healthy energy, revitalizing energy. And you're going to feel it and see it. This is, again, through imagination, right? You're going to imagine seeing it, but you're actually going to feel it because you're breathing. You're taking these deep breaths, right? So you're inhaling through your nose, and you're going to visualize this white, clean energy coming up through your feet, filling your chakras. It's being pushed out to all the cells of your body. And you're going to store this energy in your head, this clean, fresh energy. It's in your head. So basically, you're just going to hold your breath for a moment, allow it to be there. You know what it means when you do this breath work. You know the feeling that you get, maybe a little dizzy, maybe a little wide awake after you've taken a few deep breaths and kind of come out of your breathing techniques, out of your breathing work. You feel refreshed, right? And so now when it's time to exhale, okay, you're going to exhale out your mouth, but you're going to exhale all that stale energy. This is part of that energy conversion box. So all of those worries and all of that dark negative stuff that you put into your energy conversion box that you didn't want to worry about, what you're doing now, you think of it like that's the washer and dryer, right? Or that's the washer. It's washing your thoughts and your worries around, right? They're all getting agitated. It's getting cleaned with fresh energy. And as you exhale, it's like that dirty water from your washer, exiting the washer, right? Going out into the sewer, right? So what you're doing is now you're breathing out all of that negative, stale energy. You're going to exhale it through your mouth, and you're going to visualize in front of you the balloon opening up in front of you and allowing all that negative energy to flow out, right? You don't want to make sure you don't have your balloon completely closed, because then it's just going to kind of swirl around in your energy balloon, right? But you're going to exhale out all that negative energy. Again, this is conscious way to think about this, a conscious way of having a better attitude, more energy, cleaner, healthier energy in your mind, thinking more positively, and exhaling all that worry out. You're consciously exhaling the bad out. I know it sounds silly, right? But it's the conscious side of what we're doing. It's doing it with purpose. And it does start to truly work, right? It's not a cure-all. It's not like taking a pill or having a surgery or whatever, but it's very important. It's an important piece as we go through. Again, this is part of our preparatory process. So this is going to be the third step, right? Let's see. Let the energy you have stored, let it flow out of the top of your head. So it's going to flow out like a fountain, right? So as you're exhaling, you're going to, again, the negative stale energy, it's going to exhale through your mouth. You're going to see it. You're going to see this kind of darkness flowing out of you. But then out of the top of your head, as you exhale, this light energy, this new, good, clean energy is going to be recycled. So you see it, you visualize it coming out of your head like a fountain. And you've seen the pictures. I'll try to display something here on the screen, but I don't think I was able to really find a great picture of what I'm describing. But I know in books and things like that, you folks have seen it, right? So the energy flows out of the top of your head like a fountain, and it flows all around you, right? Now it's flowing down around you, and it gets recycled up through your feet. Again, you're going to now inhale through your nose, and now that energy that came from the top of your head, you're going to visualize it pouring down around you, and now you're going to breathe it back in through your feet, and then it's going to, again, refill your chakras, things like that, right? Let it flow out of the top of your head, and then turn it down all around you, and let it flow down and re-enter through the bottom of your feet. Start this flow now, out of the top of your head like a fountain, and entering you again through the bottoms of your feet. Okay, so he allows you to do that for a few minutes, and you go through this breathing technique, and you're visualizing all this happening. You're thinking about these good, happy things. As you inhale, you're exhaling all those worries that you have, all the trouble that you have. You're exhaling it out, right? And so now he says, now make the energy flow out and down and wind around you before it re-enters, okay? So now you're visualizing the energy not just flowing downwards like rain, but now it's going to start to swirl. So now it's almost like a tornado. As it flows out, now it starts to spin around you as it's going down. And then Again, you are breathing this energy back into your body. And when you do that, you can visualize it now spiraling as it goes upwards, right? It's adding an additional directional layer to your energy. This is all just about learning how to control your own energy. That's what Dr. Monroe talks about in the very first episode. This is your energy, only yours. No one else can control it. No one else can stop you from working with it. It is yours and yours alone, okay? And that's why it's so important to learn how to control it, to learn how to use it and harness it, to make sure that other people aren't stealing it from us, right? To make sure that other people aren't putting up barriers and traps and all kinds of things to steal that energy from us. And they do that in all sorts of ways. We know that. That's why we go through our lives exhausted and broken and battered, right? And that's what we're trying to do. First, we have to make our defensive front. You have to stop the attacks first, right? You got to stop the bleeding and start the breathing, right? If you don't do that, you're never going to be able to rebuild and to heal, okay? So we're building this resonant energy balloon around us. And now it's swirling around us as we're doing it. And again, these are all visualizations. This visualization, this imagination, these techniques, it might sound silly today, folks, but I promise you, as we go through, as we get deeper, especially once we work our way through the gateway experience and start to move into the spiritual side, how we start to connect these tools and these techniques that we're learning and putting them into our spiritual practices, you'll start to understand how important this visualization really is. Excuse me. Let's see. Make the energy flow out and down and wind around you before it enters the bottom of your feet. Spiral down around you and enter your feet again. Begin now. Okay. So he again allows you to do that for a few minutes, and then he says, all right, breathe normally and relax. You have created around you. You are inside your own resonant energy balloon, a moving field of vital energy. That whenever you have it in place, two conditions exist. First, it holds within you all the energy that is you, so that you can save and concentrate your own vital energy in whatever way or direction you desire. So again, in this balloon, instead of think about your second state, your second body, and without the resonant energy balloon, all of the energy inside of you, your emotions, your feelings, all of those type of things, they're just floating out into space, right? So it would be like if Earth had no atmosphere, right? It's not there to capture anything. All of our energy just floats out into space. But now, once we have an atmosphere around us, once we've created our resonant energy balloon, and we have an atmosphere inside of this balloon that we're in, now we're holding on to our energy. We're allowing it to recirculate and build and grow and become stronger. Again, because, this is your energy. You can save and concentrate your vital energy in whatever way or direction you desire. Again, this is your energy. You can use it however you want, whatever way you want to use it, in whatever direction you want to use it. And again, this is where we're going to start to really come to some kind of, maybe morality type questions and how you want to live your life when we get into the spiritual side. Are you going to use this energy that is yours? Are you going to use it to heal and grow and help others and things like that? Or are you going to use it to destroy things, right? Either way, it really depends on what's best for you, right? Sometimes destroying negative things in your life isn't a bad thing, right? Second, your resonant energy balloon secures and protects you from any external unwanted energy or energy fields you may encounter. Again, this is why I was talking about every day before I would leave my home, recreating my resonant energy balloon in order to, again, your resonant energy balloon secures and protects you from any external, unwanted energy or energy fields you may encounter. We're being attacked all the time all times in our life, right? By different types of things. Again, it's not physical attacks that we necessarily have to worry about so much in this day and age, okay? Thankfully, most of us live in a world where we physically can be safe, but we also see a lot of those spiritual attacks. And again, they don't just come in the form of religious spiritual attacks. We can think of those kind of psyops, even if it's something like marketing. When someone is trying to market alcohol to you, that is an energy attack. When a company is trying to market unhealthy foods to you, that is an energy attack. They are attacking you with laser-like precision because they are masters at their craft. Their craft is marketing and making their alcohol look good and look fun. Like, look at this life you can have. Look how much fun you're going to have when you drink alcohol. But you know that it's going to kill you. It's going to make you sick, and you need to stay away from it. That's what we're talking about by these external energy attacks, right? Unless you open it by your own action, it will perform these two functions whenever you create it around you. So again, unless you open up this resonant energy balloon to allow the love and appreciation and the good feelings and willfully allow good energy to come into your resonant energy balloon, you can block that off. So that's important, right? You can open any part of your strong energy field around you and receive the desired energy, or send your own energy and radiation away from you. So again, you can also open up your resonant energy balloon in order to send your love out, in order to send your appreciation out to people. You can think of it that way. But maybe there are times where you have to close it off around you in order to let that love rebuild, to let the appreciation rebuild inside of you. And you do that in two ways. Number one, you do it through your resonant energy balloon. You're doing it through your imagination, this conscious controlling of your energy. And at the same time, in the physical world, in the real world, maybe you're taking a break from the person you want to send the love to. Because, right, even if we love someone dearly and they're our favorite person, sometimes a little time away from them helps, right? It allows our appreciation for them to grow even more. So let's see. You can open any part of the strong energy field around you to receive desired energy or to send your own energy away from you. Relax now and feel, know, and understand the power and protection of your resonant energy balloon. So again, he allows you to take time. Now that the resonant energy balloon is around you, he allows you to take time and just float there in it, understand it, get to know it. So again, this might be a great tape to go back to if you want to recreate and get to know that resonant energy balloon again. If you want to get back to those basics, these are, you can almost think of it as, you're leveling up, right? Whether it's a video game or a board game, a lot of people enjoy those type of entertainment, right? So now you're leveling up this energy balloon around you, and you're going back and you're practicing over and over again in order to strengthen it, right? Now he says, at any point from this moment, whenever you desire to create around you, again, your protective resonant energy balloon, just as you have right now, all you need to do is first inhale deeply. And then two, as you hold your breath, think of a circle with the number 10 inside. A bright moving circle with the number 10 inside. And three, as you exhale, blow the circle out of you with your breath. When you do this, your resonant energy balloon will form immediately around you, just as it is right now. The more you perform this simple method of creating your resonant energy balloon, the easier and more quickly it will form. Also, your resonant energy balloon will automatically reabsorb into your basic energy upon completion of any of these exercises. Or when you inhale deeply. As you do, think of your shining circle coming back into your body. Okay? So, in our conscious life, like I said, before you go off to work, you want to recreate your resonant energy balloon. You can close your eyes. Take a deep breath. As you breathe in, you're going to visualize in front of you a circle with the number 10 in it. Why 10? Because that gets us to that state of hypnosis, that focus 10, right? The resonant energy balloon is part of that, getting into that relaxed state where you can actually focus it. So now as you inhale, you hold your breath, you visualize the circle with the 10 in it, whatever you want to visualize that as, right? And then as you exhale, now you blow it away. The circle with the 10 kind of disappears, and as it does, your resonant energy balloon appears around you. Again, conscious, visual, imagination techniques. That's what we're learning here, okay? It's no different than if you visualized yourself holding a shield and a sword. Things like that. We're kind of doing that same thing, right? So in the next part of the tape, so that was very important. Again, our resonant energy balloon, part of our preparation process. And this is the process that we're going to be doing at the beginning of every tape. It's important to learn these details now, learn these basic steps now, because in future episodes and future tapes, Dr. Monroe just says, do your preparatory process. And then you don't hear from him again for like 10 minutes. He's not walking you through the energy conversion box, the resonant tuning, the resonant energy balloon, walking you through to focus 10. He's just going to say, do your preparatory process and I'll meet you once you've reached focus 10. Now the sounds are going to change. You're going to recognize when it's time to go from one task to the next, one skill to the next, one technique to the next, right? You're going to know that because we're so familiar with the tapes by the time he does this, but you have to remember these things. And again, I found that as you get deeper into the tapes, sometimes it's a good idea to go back to the basics. Maybe listen to Wave 1, Tape 2 before you do an advanced tape. Listen to it the day before or early in the morning, and then you do an advanced tape later in the night. So you get those basic skills. You remember those things, okay? So now he's going to walk us into focus 10. We've already talked about that before. He counts from 1 to 10. Each number, you get deeper and deeper into that hypnotic state because focus is just another word for hypnosis. He's hypnotizing us, or more importantly, we are hypnotizing ourselves. We are allowing ourselves to be hypnotized. Again, in future tapes, he's not counting down to you 1 through 10. You're going to be doing it yourself. You're counting 1 through 10. You are hypnotizing yourself. Now the ball is in your court. You hold all the power with that hypnosis. I know a lot of people are afraid of hypnosis in the beginning because they think that other people are going to have control over them. That's not what we're doing here. We are learning how to allow ourselves to be hypnotized, and then we are learning how to hypnotize ourselves. So he walks us 1 through 10. Each number that he states, we're visualizing ourselves getting deeper and deeper, more relaxed. We're visualizing parts of our body kind of dissolving away because this is where the physical body starts to disappear. We don't worry about it anymore. And now we're in this deep state of relaxation. And so he gets us into focus 10, allows us to relax there for a few moments. And then he says this, now we're in the 10 state. And so now he's going to teach us another technique, okay? So again, he taught us how to do our resonant energy balloon in a conscious way. We're going to close our eyes, Inhale deeply as we hold our breath. Visualize a 10 with a circle around it. As we exhale, the 10 disappears and we see our resonant energy balloon around us. So now we're in a state of focus 10. He's going to teach us another technique in order to get ourselves back into that state of focus 10 without having to go through all those other steps. And this is something that's great if you are having difficulty falling asleep. This one works really well. He says, at any point from this moment on, whenever you desire to be in focus 10 and your mind awake and alert and your physical body deeply and comfortably asleep, all you need to do is inhale deeply and say in your mind or think the number 10. Exhale, and as you do, you will be in focus 10, just as you are right now. At any point from this moment, whenever you desire to be in focus 10 with your mind awake and alert and your physical body deeply and comfortably asleep, all you need to do is inhale deeply, say in your mind or think the number 10, exhale, and you will be in focus 10, just as deeply as you are now. Also, to return from focus 10, okay. So again, he's telling you these things. He says it twice. This is part of the hypnosis. He's embedding these techniques into your brain. So when you need to use them later, your mind can recall them. So again, if you're having trouble falling asleep or you just want to relax for a few minutes, you don't have to necessarily go through all the steps. You can simply, you're laying there, you can take a deep breath. As you hold it, you think of the number 10, and as you exhale, you allow yourself to get into this deep state of relaxation, this focus 10, this deep hypnotic state. And the reason you're able to get into it so quickly now is, number one, you're practicing it daily. And number two, again, as you do the practice, it creates a memory in your mind. And memories are physical things in your brain. The reason you memorize things is because something has physically changed in your brain. A connection was made. Again, as we know, if you have a brain injury, that part of your brain that was injured, if it held a memory, that memory is now gone because the physical part of your brain is gone, okay? So again, through these techniques, through these reminders, these repetitive reminders, he's helping us build new synapses, new highways of thinking, new memories. And we can tap into these because it's not just a memory of like, oh, I remember that. That was very cool. We're remembering a technique. We're remembering a skill. He's building new skills within us. And this one, this advanced focus 10, again, is just a way for us to get into a deep, relaxed state quickly. If we're just ready to take a nap or we just need to relax for a few minutes, again, you're closing your eyes, you inhale deeply, you think of the number 10, and you allow yourself to get back into that state of mind where you are deeply relaxed. And now he says, in order to return from focus 10 to full waking consciousness, mentally and physically, wide awake, all you need to do is in your mind, think of the number 1 and move the physical fingers on your right hand. So again, we talked earlier about other techniques of if you need to remember things, right? Or if you need to be wide awake, you can take your hand to the back of your head and think of the number 1. If you need to remember things, you take your hand and you put it to your forehead and think of the thing you're trying to remember, right? And when he says here, when you need to wake up, when you need to be ready and vitalized and energized, you're going to think of the number 1 and move your hand. Why is it so important that we move our hand? Okay. It's like anyone who's had sleep paralysis, you have to physically move in order to get out of it. Again, it's a distraction, right? Just like when he says, when you want to remember something, you take your hand and you touch it to your forehead. That simple movement and gesture and now feeling, it's a distraction. It's distracting your thought process because your thought process at the time is, I can't remember where this thing is and now I'm angry. I can't find it, now I'm getting frustrated. And you'll never remember where the thing is that you're looking for. But when you distract yourself for just a moment, it takes away from that anger and it allows you to think clearly. That's what these skills are. We're starting to understand that, right? That's why we get into these states of mind, to think clearly, to think outside of those thought processes that come along with our physical senses. We're trying to think outside of our 5 physical senses. And sometimes we have to get into that state of mind. So again, to return from focus 10 to full waking consciousness, mentally and physically wide awake, all you need to do is say in your mind or think the number 1 and move the physical fingers on your right hand. When you do this, you will become immediately and easily completely wide awake, both physically and mentally, feeling relaxed and refreshed. The more you perform these functions of moving to focus 10 and returning, the more effective they will become. At any point from this moment on, whenever you desire to be in focus 10 with your mind awake and alert, and your physical body deeply and comfortably asleep, all you need to do is inhale deeply, say in your mind or think the number 10, exhale, and you will be in focus 10 just as you are right now. And at any point from this moment on, whenever you desire to be in focus 10 with your mind wide awake and alert and your physical body deeply and comfortably asleep, all you need to do is inhale deeply, say in your mind or think the number 10, exhale, and you will be in focus 10 just as you are right now. Also, to return from focus 10 to full waking consciousness, mentally and physically wide awake, all you need to do is say in your mind or think the number 1 and move the physical fingers of your right hand. When you do this, you will become immediately and easily and completely wide awake, both physically and mentally, feeling relaxed and refreshed. The more you perform these functions of moving to focus 10 and returning, the more effective they will become. You will return now. Okay, so again, you hear him repeat these things over and over again. Again, he's embedding these skills, these techniques into our brains in order to access them with our minds whenever we like. Now, for the remainder of the tape, the next step is he walks us out of focus 10 without fully waking us up, right? So he counts down from 10 to 1 and he says, your body's awake, you are awake, but you're still going to be laying there with the eye covers on, with the headphones on. Your eyes are still closed. He hasn't told you to open your eyes and move around yet. You're still there, okay? So he walks you down to 1 where you're awake. And he says, okay, now I'm going to walk you back into focus 10. So now he walks you back 1 to 10. Folks, I did the tape just before I came down here. I promised you that I would. I promised you that I was going to be doing these things with you. I listened to this tape twice this week. And again, I listened to it right before I came in. When he walks you back in to advanced focus 10, or just a focus 10 after he's brought you out of it, it really is amazing. It's fun because you really start to understand what it means to go into focus 10. Because as you come out of it, you realize, oh, okay, I am awake. And then as soon as he starts counting 1, 2, 3 again, it's like, uh-oh, I'm deep into this deep relaxed state. I'm seeing my feet start to dissolve and disappear, and I'm floating into this darkness now. Now I'm very relaxed, right? Back into this kind of warm, safe, pain-free state of being that I was before. So again, he just walks you in and out of focus 10, I think about 2 or 3 times in this tape total. And then to finish off, he does like he always does. He walks you back down to 1 as he does. He tells you that your physical body and your mental and your spiritual body are going to be healthy, working perfectly, vitality. It's going to be flowing through you. He's reminding you of how healthy and happy and good and exciting you are, your life is. And really, when you come out of this, you're going to be wide awake, ready to go. And so, again, that's how he finishes up with tape 3. So this is wave 1, discovery. So wave 1 is called discovery. This is tape 3 called advanced focus 10. We learned some great new techniques here. We learned about our resonant energy balloon as it goes down around us. We're able to hold our positive, healthy, clean energy. We're able to build up our energy balloon around us and help secure us and protect us from any of that negative energy that's out there, any of those spiritual attacks that are coming from us. Our resonant energy balloon is going to protect us. He taught us how to recreate our resonant energy balloon in the conscious state. So before you go to work, you're going to close your eyes for a minute, take a deep breath, visualize the number 10 with a circle around it. As you exhale, the 10 disappears and the energy balloon around you starts to build. One great way you can do this, put your headphones on and find a song that emotionally charges you up, right? So I listened to some music today right after I got done listening to the tape. Some old songs that I haven't heard in a long time that were very energetic and really got me pumped up to come down here and do this recording for you all, right? And that felt great. That was a good revitalization, helped wake me up and feel energized again and feel confident to come down here and do this, right? So he also taught us that when we want to get into a deep state of relaxation, get back into that focus 10, say we're getting ready to take a nap or fall asleep, just inhaling, thinking of the number 10, reminding ourselves what it means to feel like being in the state of focus 10, in that deep, relaxed state. And then as we exhale, we allow ourselves to sink into that state. And then he says, hey, when it's time to wake up, when you're ready and you need to be revitalized and ready to go, you're going to inhale, think of the number 1. That's the number that wakes us up. That's that trigger that gets us going. And you're going to move the fingers on your right hand. You have to move. You have to move your hands in order to distract yourself and remind yourself you're in your physical body. It's time to wake up. The same thing at the end of every tape. I cannot stress this enough. When he says 1, when he says, wake up, open your eyes, you have to do it. The eye covers come off. You wake up, you open your eyes, you take a deep breath, you move your body, you move your limbs, okay? You're not going to just stay laying there, stay tired, staying half asleep, and allow yourself to fall deep asleep when the tape is done. That's not what you want to do. You want to listen to what he says and come out of it, because these are skills that we're trying to learn, okay? So that's very important. So thank you all again for being here. This has been a great series. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you are too. I hope everyone's following along and participating. Again, if you have any questions, you can leave a comment on YouTube. You can contact me through Instagram. You can find my email address. It's in the link tree on my Instagram and my YouTube description. Again, there are links to Dr. Monroe's books where you can get them for free online and download them. There are links to the Gateway Experience tapes, to other YouTube channels that currently have them right now. Those links are in the description, so make sure you get a copy of the Gateway Experience tapes. I appreciate you folks being here with me today. And as always, remember, harden your hearts and open your minds, because this is Mind War.